respected brands like Hoka, Brooks, New Balance, and On Running. And don't forget, Browns carries a large arrangement of sizes and widths to fit your feet properly. Start your spring off right at Browns Shoe Fit, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker, who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Jake, you have a kid. How old? Remind me, I know, pretty young.
Yeah, he just turned 4.
You gonna have more?
Oh, that's the debate right now between me and my wife.
Nobody's listening. Just you and me. Are you having another one?
Probably eventually.
Probably eventually. All right. How many do you want to have, Jake?
I would probably cut it off at 2.
2. Well, my wife and I always said 2 to 4. We ended up with 94. So, no, we ended up with 6. We were going for 4, and we got a 2-for-1 special with the twins. So 4 turned into 5, 5 turned into 6. But you ever go into a situation with your kids, and you got good intentions, you got the right mind, your heart's in the right place. Obviously, you love the little thing. You know, everything is set up for success. And then they act like a kid. And then you proceed, or I proceed, or an adult, a human being proceeds to act like a human being. Has that ever happened to you, or it doesn't exactly go how you thought it would go?
With a child, yes.
You might as well just said that was a stupid question, Adam. All right, we got this clip. It's Will Ferrell. I love Will Ferrell. My wife thinks his humor is stupid, but she's come around on a few things. She likes Elf. Do you like Elf at Christmas?
Oh, yeah, I love Elf, yeah.
Old School was really my kind of first Saturday Night Live, but Old School was my first introduction to Will Ferrell, and that's when I became a big fan of it.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to play a clip, all right, from a skit that he did. And when this was sent to me, I was like, oh, my God, that's me. I'm so calm. I'm so patient. And then all of a sudden, I'm not. With my wonderful, lovely children whom I love. Just because you love them, does that mean you have to like them all the time? Is there a difference?
There's a difference.
There's a difference. All right, go ahead and roll the clip.
Hey, Brandon, Michael, need you guys to do me a favor and get off the shed. Well, we've heard so many great things about you, too. Hey, guys, I mean it. Let's get off the shed.
We met on a golf course in Scotland when we were...
Get off the shed! How about next Sunday, Pebblebrook, 12 o'clock tee-off? Get off the damn shed! There's going to be a meeting between your ass and the palm of my hand if you don't get off the shed. Now, get off the shed! I will punch you in the face if you don't get off the shed! Now, get off the shed!
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, let us know if you can relate to that there skit by Will Ferrell. Let us know if you can relate, if you've had any similar experiences, which I'm willing to bet a whole lot of people out there have, with your wonderful, lovely children who you love all the time and like most of the time. What is that number that they can text in their wonderful parental experiences to? What's that number, Jake?
402-464-5685.
All right, this was sent to me as well. people have taken to sending me things in addition to the research that I tend to do as well. This is very serious. I want you to know this is very serious, okay? I renamed my toilet Jim instead of John because people are really impressed when I tell them I go to the gym every morning. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Adam Carriker Show. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. Grab your lunch. Come join us. What you're going to hear. You're going to hear Husker sports, college football, and sports in general. What you're going to get, unique insight, unbridled honesty. And as you can see, producer Jake and I, the goals for this show are to be slightly smarter than the average dumb guy. In other words, we're going to have a whole lot of fun in the process. And you guessed it, today's show is quite loaded. We got men's basketball. Their season continues. All right, the backup quarterback spot. We chatted about it a little bit one day, and we not completely overlooked. We brought up his name at some point, but we did not give enough credit to the current backup quarterback, which is Jalen Gromstad. Who's going to be the backup quarterback? All right, so we're going to get into that a little bit today. Matt Rhule apparently doesn't hate TikTok as much as we thought. Harper Murray and Matt Rhule, I'm sure you saw this, did a little TikTok dance video together, and that thing was like everywhere yesterday. I thought that was pretty cool. But I thought we'd chat about that. A little bit of Harper Murray, a little bit of Matt Rhule, a little bit of how college sports have evolved, sometimes in a good way. It's not all doom and gloom with the NIL and transfer portal. It's the end of the world. Not in everything. I actually joined TikTok last August, and I was like, no, they're trying to destroy America from the inside out, and they're using TikTok to do it. And then I joined it on August 1st, and I have a lot of fun with it now.
Yeah, it's pretty fun, isn't it?
I pretty much just I never go over a minute. I think I did it one time. I don't know. I usually just grab my phone, do something silly, fire off a random opinion, send it out, and I go on about my day, and it's fun. It doesn't even have to be coherent or make sense. People seem to like it either way. So, all right, we'll chat a little bit about that, but let's lead the show off. Nebraska basketball. Were you able to watch the game? Were you able to watch the game?
Yeah.
Admittedly, I was running all over last night like a chicken with my head cut off with my 94 children, and there was different sporting events, which was a lot of fun, okay, but I was not able to watch the game. And then my parents were like, where's the game? We can't find it. And I was like, is it not on TV? I don't know. I was not able to watch it. A lot of textuals, a lot of deep dives afterwards. But since you actually watched it, Nebraska gets the win, by the way, in the Crown. So initially I called it the Crown Plaza Tournament. And my wife's like, no, it's not Home Alone 2, okay? It's just the Crown Tournament. All right, the Crown Tournament. I've heard Crown Plaza once a year every Christmas. It's like the mid-'90s. And when I hear Crown, Plaza just comes out too. If you ever saw Home Alone 2, you know what I'm talking about. Nebraska gets the win in the Crown Tournament over Arizona State. All right, 86-78. The first half was not so beautiful to watch. The second half was a lot more fun. All right, Nebraska pulls out the win. But you actually watched the game. So what are your thoughts, and what does this mean for Nebraska basketball going forward?
Well, it means their season's still alive is the biggest thing. And obviously it breaks a losing streak that was pretty rough for Nebraska fans, and I'm sure for this Nebraska team to go through. So at least, you can get back into a better feeling of the end of the tournament. It's interesting. I mean, I don't know how many people were in the building. Of course, Austin Orman's down there on our behalf. Looked like I thought the TV did a good job of, and you'll know this as a WWE fan, sometimes when there's lack of audience, you don't show the audience as much. I thought they did a pretty good job of doing that. It looks like from the picture I saw, it was like 500 people in the building. But one way or the other, it was, this is kind of an exciting nuance, right? It's a new tournament in Las Vegas, NIL based. So, we're all just kind of getting used to it, but it was what you kind of have come to expect from this team. It was kind of funny because after it was such a long layoff that I almost feel like I was looking for like, okay, how's Bear K gotten better over the offseason? Well, there's no offseason. It's just, it's just a month.
Felt like an offseason.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was the same typical thing you would see for Nebraska where this past year where Bryce Williams and Juwan Gary had to do much of the heavy lifting, without Raleigh Wooster in there. They did rely more on Kel Jacobson, so he got a lot of minutes in there. That was interesting. Connor Essegian went off, particularly in the second half, not just from the 3-point line, scored 11 points beyond the 3-point line, outside the 3-point line, I should say. And so it was a good game. Now, again, Arizona State, their season ends, they're 13-20. And they were up at 8 at half. So, I mean, they had some talent. You could tell it there, but they were at, again, with the current era, they were without 3 of their top players. Georgetown, who Nebraska will play next, will likely be without 2 or 3 of their top players. So it's kind of an interesting, it's altogether interesting, but I'm just happy Nebraska was able to get to win, because if they would have went out there and lost to a 13-19 Arizona State team to add that on to the end of their season, I think we'd really sour on how the season went.
Not to take a random sidebar, but on a random side note, I miss Georgetown being good at basketball.
Yes, absolutely.
When I was growing up, man, Georgetown, Villanova's won a couple national titles in the past 10 years. But like Georgetown was always, I'm like, you never hear about them in any other sport. I always kind of was rooting for the Knicks to upset the Bulls when I was growing up, but it never did happen. Okay, the Knicks made the finals the 2 years Jordan was off playing baseball. But Patrick Ewing, all-time great Knick, played at Georgetown. And so, man, I miss Georgetown being good at basketball. Has Nebraska ever played Georgetown in basketball?
It's a good question. I'm not sure.
I have zero recollection of this. Of course, I also didn't remember that Matt Davison played basketball, although not a lot, in my defense. I think you said 6 games and he started 2 of them or something like that.
Well, yeah, it was like 1 semester.
I mean, that's still pretty cool, but, I'm excited to play Georgetown. I have no idea if they're any good. I don't know what their record is. Obviously not phenomenal, or they'd be in the NCAA tournament to begin with. I'm just excited for the matchup. I think that's going to be fun. All right. You look at the game itself. I've done some recon since, chatted with some folks, et cetera, watched highlights. All right, Nebraska. This was a game of kind of like first half, second half. Arizona State at one point led by 11. Nebraska at one point led by 12. At halftime, although Nebraska was only down by 8, it felt like more. Then Nebraska outscores the Sun Devils in the second half, 56-40. Outscored them by 16 points to win 86-78. And if you do a little bit of recon on this, I mean, neither team shot the lights out on this. Nebraska shot 50% from the field. Arizona State 46. 3-point range, 33 and 30 for both teams respectively. From the free throw line, 73% for the Huskers, 77 for the Sun Devils. The difference, if you go down the stat sheet here and you do a little bit of recon, points off turnovers. All right, points off turnovers. Arizona State only had 16 turnovers. Nebraska only had 14. I shouldn't say only. But the difference between the two is only 2 turnovers, but points off turnovers. 24 points off turnovers for Nebraska, 11 for the Sun Devils. And Nebraska ends up winning by 8. That was the difference in the game. Nebraska's ability to capitalize on Arizona State's mistakes. To me, that was pretty huge in the game. All right, as an overall whole, Nebraska improves to 25-26 all time in the postseason game with with last night's win. And when we go 26, well, hopefully we're 26 and 27 and 28 and 26 by the end of this. But maybe that 26th or 27th win will be in the NCAA tournament at some point. But Nebraska is now 4-4 all time against Arizona State. All right, as I mentioned earlier, the Huskers overcame an 11-point second-half deficit, marking the 3rd time this year the Huskers rallied from a double-digit deficit. Bryce Williams did his thing once again with 30 points for his 4th 30-point game of the season. He's the 2nd Husker in the Big Ten era with 4 30-point games in a season, joining James Palmer Jr., who also had 4 in the 2018 season. Williams' 30-point night is the 2nd highest scoring effort by a Husker in a postseason game, trailing the 33 points that Tom Back had against Marshall in the 1967 NIT. Williams now has 650 points, passing Eric Piakowski, all right, who had 646 in 1993 for 4th place on Nebraska's single-season all-time list. Nebraska's 56 points in the second half was his highest scoring half of the season. The previous high was in the first half versus South Dakota much earlier in the year, and the highest since scoring 57 in the first half against Doane during the 2020 season. All right, you mentioned Connor Essegian. Cale Jacobson stepped up and played well, led Nebraska, helped them give them a huge lift off the bench, setting career bests in assists with 5 steals, 3, and minutes played with 23 as he finished plus 10 on the night. Sam Hoiberg matched a career high with 4 steals as the Huskers finished with 11 steals. Again, those turnovers were a huge difference maker on the night. A couple other, I won't say random things, but man, when and who was it against was Nebraska basketball's last win this season? Do you remember by chance, Jake?
I thought you were going to go deep into the history of it, but the last one out, I can't even know because it's Rutgers. I don't know.
It was 46 days ago, February 16th, that Northwestern comeback.
Oh, man, and that was an awful first half. That's right.
Yes. Yes, that's how long it's been. That's crazy. All right. Now, Robin Washut on Twitter mentioned there was a dust-up at midcourt after the post-game handshake. Teams had to be separated, but didn't seem to get too crazy. All right. Is it Georgetown or Washington State that we're playing? It is definitely Georgetown, because somebody had mentioned Washington State to me. Okay.
Well, yeah, Georgetown beat Washington State to
well, that's what I thought. But then somebody else mentioned Washington State, and I didn't take the time to double-check because, honestly, I figured you would know, because you pretty much know most of this stuff if I don't. So, again, I'm excited, man. I've always liked Georgetown. I've always liked those Big East type teams, St. John's when I was growing up. So I'm excited for this matchup versus Georgetown. All right. With the win over Arizona State, Fred Hoiberg ties his grandfather, Jerry Bush, on the all-time wins list at Nebraska. Did you know that?
I did not.
I thought that was pretty cool. And here's a random stat. Nebraska has more victories in the Crown Tournament than every single Big Ten program combined. Boom! Take that. More than everybody else in the Big Ten. Is there even another Big Ten team in the Crown? There probably is. I just didn't look. All right. A couple other, while Jake looks that up. All right. A couple other things I wanted to point out here. Nebraska wrestling, again, great season. Finished with 22 All-American awards since 2022, the second most in the entire NCAA over the last 4 seasons. Now, is there another Big Ten team in the Crown? The Crown Plaza tournament? Did you?
It does not look like it.
I didn't think so, but I like to confirm things before I just throw it out there. Is there?
I overlooked Southern Cal because they're a Big Ten team.
I'm still getting used to them being in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
All right. That's right. All right, USC. Good old Southern Cowboys. All right, Jake. Georgetown. What do you know? What do you think we can expect? Do we realistically have any freaking clue what to expect? And how much does this game mean to Nebraska? Like, if at least, man, had we lost Arizona State and hadn't won a game since basically Valentine's Day versus Northwestern, who's darn near the bottom as well in the Big Ten Conference, and then you lose to a 13-19. They would have been 14-19 had they beaten this Arizona State team without some of their best players. Man, that would have been rough. So it's kind of like, all right, at least that didn't happen. We came back. We got the win. How important is this next one?
It's important. Again, obviously your season's on the line. We'll see if Nebraska, the whole idea here is to come home with some money, come home as a champion. That's what, they were talking about on the broadcast. Bryce Williams wants a chance to play for a championship. And, that's why he was one of the leaders, and the whole team was behind going after this. They didn't want their season to end the way that it did. And you can understand, especially Bryce with that tough outing against Iowa. He's much better than that. We saw that last night with his 30 points. And we're getting confirmation off the text line. I was looking up. It is the first matchup with Georgetown. So a historic, pretty cool program, like you said. So very cool to do that. Here's what I know from Georgetown. All Big East player Michael Peavy sat out the first round of this championship, or the Crown Tournament. I don't know if he's going to prepare for the draft. I don't know if that's completely that. There was also talk about maybe being an illness. Their third leading scorer, Jaden Epps, did sit out due to illness. So we'll see if he's back. Freshman Thomas Sorber has been out since February. He's probably going to be picked in the first round and is their big man. So they kind of playing a little bit small, but with all those guys out, they did have I think it was Malik Mack that picked up the slack and scored 37 points against Washington State to help get their win. So it's it's hard to say what any of this means, right? But obviously, again, what it means very directly is you continue your season. If Nebraska does beat Georgetown, then they're in the semifinals of the tournament, which will be played on Saturday. And if they win there, obviously against the winner of Butler and Boise State, then they would move on to the championship game on Sunday. So it's win or go home. Season's over if you lose. That's what's on the line. Will they hang a banner if Nebraska does win? I'm not sure, but the players will be happy because they'll get some money. I would assume they would put it right next to the NIT championship. They've got that, not necessarily with its own banner, like next to some NIT appearances and NCAA appearances and stuff, but would be a great way, obviously, for Nebraska to end the season. And obviously, winning one game compared to winning two, it's like, okay, well, you were there, you at least made an effort compared to, all right, you made a little bit of a run.
I agree on all that. And you look it up, Nebraska's favored by a touchdown. Favored by 7 points. Should I go back to the football scorekeeping when it comes to basketball?
I don't know about Georgetown. They don't have a football school, so they might get really confused.
Dude, that was a lot of mental gymnastics when I was doing that the other. I was like, what? It's 18. How do I figure that out? 2 touchdowns, 2 2-point conversions. All right, I got it. Yeah, Nebraska is favored by 7 currently as we sit here right now against Georgetown in their next basketball game. Nebraska is 18-14 on the season. Georgetown is 18-15 on the season. Depending on who plays, you got to take a little bit of that with a grain of salt as well. I do think, Nebraska continued to be inconsistent. I don't think we were surprised by that. But I think, because you get to this point, and it's like, all right, the Crown Tournament, the NIT, the NCAA Tournament would be very easy to get up for. How motivated are these teams? I feel like this team really wants to end the season strong. And what you can do at this point in time, like you said, is make at least a little bit of a run in this tournament. And then, man, at least you end the season with some momentum going into next year, and you feel like you ended it strong. You lose to Arizona. I'm sorry, you beat Arizona State. You lose to Georgetown. You're kind of like, okay, we won one game. We showed up. But you win a couple of games, and you build a little momentum going in to the offseason. All right, what say you, Jake, before we head to break?
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, again, it's still like what would transfer over, because you look at last night, again, your 2 leading scorers aren't going to be there for next year's team. And so it's interesting to see what they do moving about, what kind of momentum would they get out of that. But speaking of that, there's been news now on the Nebraska front that they've reached out to former Husker and Rhode Island transfer Jamarcus Lawrence, who you remember was on Nebraska's teams last year. So just 1 year at Rhode Island. He's back in the portal. Shot 39% from 3 this year, 87% from the free throw line, while being 4th on the team with 9.9 points per game, started every game. So that could be something to keep your eye on, as well as the wins on the court and the wins off the court. Probably pretty close to equally as important at this point, because next year, obviously, you're going to be going for that NCAA tournament. That's right. We got to keep our eye on the basketball tournament as things unfold. Right now, Nebraska is one of the few teams in the entire country, I laid it out yesterday, that has 0 people enter the portal. All right, so we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. And then who do we bring in? We obviously need to make some quality additions to this roster going into next year. We'll keep an eye on that. When we come back, Nebraska baseball plays Creighton today. All right, they even moved up the game time, I believe, to 2:30 due to weather. They got UNO tomorrow. Nebraska softball, unfortunately, got the L yesterday, but they're playing better. They have, a 6-game win streak, so they've been playing better as of late. Jordy Ball gets another weekly award. Bowling update. Let's see, I got a couple other things here. Bowling update, men's gymnastics update. Basically, Husker Sports Roundup when we come back.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197. At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we strive to provide you with the right coverages for all your insurance needs by taking the time to meet with you and review what coverages best fit your needs. So whether you're in the market for home, auto, farm, business, life, or a combination of any of these coverages, we can help with making sure you, your family, or your business have the right coverage based on your individual needs. If you would like to review your insurance needs, please contact Ben Spurt with Farm Bureau Financial Services at 402-217-9945 or through email at ben.spurt@fbfs.com. Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and training staff to serve you the best they can. If you haven't already planned, now is the perfect time to figure out a maintenance plan for your yard. Tailored Landscapes is on the brink of spring cleanups for all their existing customers, and they have limited spots available. They trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mulch proper amounts. Give Tailored Landscapes a call at 432-2572 to set up a meeting with one of their designers, and stop by the Tailored Life store in Bennett.
Hey, bestie. Whoa, how'd you snag that awesome set of wheels? I'm in the market for a new car, too. My friends at Members Own Credit Union. You're always in the driver's seat when it comes to your finances at Members Own.
Always in the driver's seat, huh?
Yep. They set you up with a loan that makes sense for your budget with great rates and top-notch customer service to boot. Looks like we're going to need to make a pit stop. Let's go. I'll drive. Hit the road to financial success and explore auto loan options with your best financial friend, Members Owned Credit Union. For details, go to membersowncu.org/drive. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
When your home fills up with family, Allo Fiber makes sure that space is a happy place for everyone. Allo Fiber experts install it all, and full service means step-by-step support, guiding you through everything so you can stay connected to what matters, and the family can always feel at home. Put the game on, and don't worry about your Wi-Fi calling a timeout. Better TV and internet service is one connection away. Call Allo at 866-481-2556 or visit allofiber.com.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com. Spring is here. It's time to get back outside and into proper shoes this year. Brown's Shoe Fit is the place to buy this spring with their sale on athletic shoes. Get $15 off any regular priced athletic shoes with respected brands like Hoka, Brooks, New Balance, and On Running. And don't forget, Brown's carries a large arrangement of sizes and widths to fit your feet properly. Start your spring off right at Brown's Shoe Fit, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
Imagine a healthier, more active, physically fit version of yourself. If you've been putting off getting into shape, now is the time with the Ferrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-Week Challenge. Our program combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching to help you achieve your fitness goals. And ticket listeners, you can get $150 off your enrollment. The next 10-week challenge begins on April 12th. You can get all the info at fxblincoln.com. Don't wait any longer. Ferrell's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill and 70th and Vine.
Love is in the air, and so are big savings. It's the Big I Do event at Sartor Heyman Jewelers, South Point Pavilions, April 4th through the 6th. For 3 days only, enjoy 20% off all engagement rings and wedding bands, plus exclusive bridal collections from our top designers. Whether you're saying yes or I do, shop now for the year's best prices and selection. April 4th through 6th, Sartor Heyman Jewelers, South Point Pavilions.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Jared Crick, former Nebraska star, becomes the new Cozad High School football coach. Congrats to Jared. Congrats to Cozad. All right, Jake, what are your thoughts on this? Is this a big deal for Cozad or what?
I hope so. I'm a big Jared Crick fan. I always think he's a little bit – I hear a lot of Husker fans just kind of throw him in. Okay, yeah, he was there with Sue. And his season when Sue left was pretty identical to his season when Sue was there. And then, his senior season, unfortunately, was had some injuries that cut it short. But, man, he was a heck of a player. I can't wait to see what he does out there.
Dude, he was a beast. I mean, when you're playing next to Sue, there's going to be a certain amount of overshadowing that happens. But I feel like if you were to say, hey, Adam, who are some of the most underrated Huskers of all time? There's a few people I'd have on that list. Jared Crick is on that list. I believe it's 20 career sacks he has. Okay. And I poked fun at him one time about this, not too often, because had he played his whole senior season, unfortunately, he missed a bunch of games. He would have passed me, but I have 20 and a half. So I always give him crap that I'm ahead of him by a half a sack.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters, ladies and gentlemen. All right. But Jared is an all-time great. And had he played his whole senior season, he would have passed me up. But the fact is, he didn't. So I have bragging rights for life. But this is pretty awesome. All right. I've actually met with Jared a few times, potential business dealings over the past year. So I'm excited for Jared. He's going to do a phenomenal job. And I'm excited for the town of Cozad, his hometown as well. All right. A little bit of Nebraska baseball. They got Creighton today. They got UNO this week as well. You know what some butthead on Twitter tweeted me?
What's that?
Like, these are rivalry games, right?
Yeah.
Some butthead on Twitter tweeted me, yeah, they could win both these games and they still be in dead last in the Big Ten. And I was like, that's a Jake-like dagger right there. That's just hurtful. These games matter, gosh dang it. I actually do think they matter. I think they matter because Nebraska needs to keep that momentum going. It was big getting that win, winning that series, 2 out of 3, I should say, versus Oregon State. Again, a perennial baseball collegiate powerhouse and a top 5 team in the country right now. To me, that was big, but you got to keep that momentum going forward. How do you do that? You do that, all right, by beating our in-state rival, Creighton. Then you do it by beating another team in-state. I don't know, is UNO a rival? Are they a rival?
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd use the R word with them. Although when we were talking about the NCAA tournament, and you're like, well, what if UNO wins a tourney game? That means they'd win an NCAA tourney game before Nebraska. Is it? I mean,
I hope one day they can develop into a rival. I think that'd be cool.
That has stuck with me ever since you said that. These things are hurtful, Jake. I want you to know this. This is hurtful. The daggers are hurtful. Oh, and to be clear, I don't want it to develop into a rivalry because that means we're not doing as good as we should. And I hope they do great. Yeah, I really do. Any Nebraska team. Yes, we've discussed the whole Jaysk or Creighton thing. I treat them like a Big Ten team. Had they gone all the way to the Final Four in the NCAA tournament, I would have been happy. Then they would have had to stop right there because then you hear Creighton fans just talking crap all year if they go too far. It's like, that's enough. Final Four, I root for you up to here. But Big Ten teams, actually, I guess I root for Big Ten teams more because I root for a Big Ten team to win. It won't happen this year because we don't have a team in the Final Four. But I root for a Big Ten team to actually win the national title. So I guess Creighton is just like a half of a smidge of a notch right below all the other Big Ten teams. Because I'll root for Creighton to a point. And then I'm like, all right, that's good enough. That's enough. I don't want to have to hear your crap all year. I used to live outside of Denver. And when I first moved there, people would be like, you root for the Broncos? Well, no. You root against the Broncos? No. I'm indifferent. I don't care. Then the Broncos beat the Panthers in the Super Bowl. And those people would not shut up. Like I cared. Hey, our team won the Super Bowl all year. And I never hated the Broncos because I grew up rooting for the Chiefs and the Broncos, the Midwest teams, and the St. Louis Rams. Obviously, I played for the Rams when they were in St. Louis. So I rooted for all the Midwest teams. Oh, my gosh. I learned from that. Like, I learned from that. Like, all right, I'm allowed to root for your team to a point, and then it needs to stop because then I have to hear your crap all year round. All right, so that's kind of how I feel about Creighton. To make that clear.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I always point that out to, like, the Royals and the Cubs, too, when they won. It's not that I'm a Red Sox fan, so but the Royals are always my second team because the location or whatever. But man, Royals fans and Cubs fans came out of the woodwork once they won. I never saw them.
A lot of truth to that.
Yeah, I just didn't see them a whole lot around town before then, and then man, they're everywhere.
I forgot the Red Sox thing. So what was the year they finally broke the curse? Was it 04?
Yeah,
04,
05.
How old were you?
Or 04, yeah. 04.
How old were you when they did that?
14. I always feel kind of bad because the Red Sox had the 86-year drought or whatever.
Yes.
I started liking them like 6 years before they won the World Series.
So you didn't really experience the lifelong trauma that some Red Sox fans did. You just weren't old enough.
No, there were fans that lived, 80 years hoping to see the Red Sox win and died. But, I was a fan since like 98. So
what made you a fan of the Red Sox?
Nomar Garciaparra.
Ooh, I liked him.
Yeah.
I always preferred him to Jeter. Not that I dislike Jeter or anything. I always preferred Nomar. Probably because Jeter had that ugly Yankees jersey on. That always affects how much I like players. Although I like Judge. I do like Judge. To me, he's got the real home run record. This is something we can discuss for days. 62. That's what he ended the year with that, right? 2 years ago. And he hit 54 again last year. So it wasn't like it was a 1 year, one-off fluke. 60, I think it was 62 that he was either 62 or 63, whatever the record, because Maris had 61. All right. And then I think Judge hit 62. And that's the real home run record, in my opinion. As fun as the 98 summer was with Sosa and McGuire, and people forget Griffey was in that home run race for a while too. Now, he has come out since and talked about why he didn't do certain things, which may have contributed to him falling off over time. All right. But McGuire and Sosa was phenomenal. Bonds, 74. Are you kidding me? That is insane. There's a whole lot of things to debate behind all of that. We know. Okay. By the way, do you think Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame?
Absolutely.
Did you feel that way before he unfortunately passed away? Or is it a sympathy vote you have now?
No, I mean, he's the career leader in hits. I don't know it. And like, I get why they kept him out, but that's one of those things where it's like, you can keep him out as much as you want. He's one of your best baseball players of all time.
What about your steroid era guys? Where do you stand on them?
Absolutely bring him in. There's a lot of people doing steroids this time. So
that's a fair point.
Yeah, I mean,
that was going around a lot. Is Jose Canseco in the Hall of Fame? Because I don't think there was a whole lot of debate about some things that happened there. I'm just saying. Is he in the Hall? Do you know?
I would highly doubt it.
Okay. This was not planned for the show at all. Let's light this candle. All right. I think there should be a whole wing, like a separate wing of the Baseball Hall of Fame. Like, you were great without anything else. And we can debate whether you did or didn't do it. I have my opinions. But there's this wing dedicated to you great players who may have had a little extra assistance. And you get your own Hall of Fame. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I because that's my argument too, is like you can put asterisks next to their name, and maybe there should be an asterisk portion of the Hall of Fame, but they hit the home runs. I mean, the runs counted, toward the wins, the seasons counted. They were there, and so and then it's always hard to say, like, did you hit that home run because of steroids? Did you hit as many home runs because of steroids? How many steroids did you do compared to this other guy that did steroids?
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of tough stuff you got to get through to get to your opinion. That's why, I get why you want to keep it a pure game and all that, but it was entertaining for one.
Very entertaining.
They did hit the home runs, yeah.
I think where I stand is every guy that we've talked about would be in the Hall of Fame either way. Like, I can't, like Rose, McGuire, Sosa. I mean, Sosa hit 60+ again, which I had forgotten, actually. He did it twice. All right. Bonds would have been in. They all these guys would have been in either way. We have not brought up a guy that, in my opinion, would not be in, and the little extra assistance is why they could possibly go. And they would have been in either way. They just got to another stratosphere, in my humble opinion, due to a little extra assistance. We'll debate, which is why they should be in the Hall of Fame, maybe just a little different wing or their own Hall of Fame or something like that. That's how I've always looked at it. Like, there's a guy who was not a Hall of Famer and then, bam, became a Hall of Famer because of certain things. That's a different conversation. Pete Rose with the gambling thing, he's a Hall of Famer either way, so he would kind of, for me, go in that other wing, so to speak. So
they don't leave they just they dim the lights when you get to the asterisk portion of the Hall of Fame.
Do they really?
No, I think
that would be epic.
Idea. Just keep them kind of in the dark. They're a little ashamed of them, but
they got their own little corner room over here.
That's right.
All right. Did you ever believe in the curse? The curse of the great Bambino?
Well, yeah, because if you remember in 2003, it came down to Game 7, like extra innings, and Aaron Boone hit a home run. So, I mean, yeah, and I was at that age where I would, I was like 13, 14, fully willing to believe in that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I did.
Because wasn't there like a legit jersey that was found at one point that was like buried inside the stadium in Boston?
Yeah.
It was like a Babe Ruth Yankee jersey.
I think when they rebuilt Yankee Stadium. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. I was happy for Red Sox fans when they finally. How many have they won since? 3 or 4?
Yeah,
since
I think it's been 4, and
yeah,
that's why I feel especially bad for those that waited throughout the drought.
In 2015 was the year they were exponent, like really, like one of the all-time great teams. Is that correct? 2015 Reds. I'm not even a Red Sox fan, but I think it was 2015. They had like an exponentially really good team, like in the conversation for one of the great all-time teams. Is that correct? If you have to look it up, are you really a Red Sox fan? Like,
well,
I can tell you different years of Nebraska football.
Oh, right,
come on now.
2015 was not the year because they didn't win the title that year. But I don't know what year.
17,
18.
18. Was it 18? Okay.
I've never heard it being phrased that way though. I didn't. realize or didn't. I've never seen anybody say they're like one of all-time greats.
The thing that kind of got me into the Red Sox was, first of all, they were not the Yankees. Second of all, they were the Yankees' biggest rivals, if you want to call them that, at that point in time, because they hadn't actually overcome them and won a World Series yet. No team. Like, teams had been down 3-1 in best-of-7 series, and they'd come back and won. Not a lot, but it had happened. No team in any pro sport had ever been down 0-3 in a series. And that 0-4 Boston team won 4 straight versus the Yankees, multiple games inside Yankee Stadium, and then went on to win the World Series. That's what kind of turned it for me. I'm pretty sure there was a hockey team in a best-of-7 series a few years later, 5-6 years later, was down 0-3 and then came back and won the series. So it's happened at least twice now. But my entire childhood, it had never once happened until that 0-4 Red Sox team came back from an 0-3 deficit to the Yankees. And I even watched the whole thing on that like 2 or 3 years ago. It popped up and I watched it. Man, it was just so intriguing to me. Do you remember that, being down 0-3? I think they were in Yankee Stadium for Game 4. I could be wrong. And they were behind in that game, and they had to come back and win it, and then they won the next 3. To me, that was what kind of turned the corner for me for like, all right, I'll pay attention to this team from Boston. They seem to not be half bad.
Yeah, it was just an entertaining group, too. If you remember that, they called themselves the Idiots. Johnny Damon with his long hair and beard. And, of course, Manny being Manny was always entertaining. David Ortiz, all those guys. So, Pedro, Curt Schilling. I really do. As much as I still love the Red Sox, but I kind of I guess I've geared more toward the Celtics in my fandom, and kind of focusing in every season. But that era was very special. And I don't know if I'll ever have the same amount of hatred. Like, I hate Texas, but the amount of hatred I had for the Yankees at that time, still do. It lingers, but it'll never get back to that because they were brawling. They were fighting every time they got on the field together.
Jake, you should never hate anybody. I don't hate Gag Me You, okay? There's no hatred for Gag Me You. I think mostly because I call him Gag Me You and I get that relief every time I say it. And so
helps.
It does help. I do hate them. I'm just kidding. I'm trying to be positive here, but I'm like, geez. All right, man. The Yankees, though. All right. So somebody told me they changed their bats a little bit this year.
Yeah, torpedo bats.
So where a ball actually hits the bat most of the time is not where the barrel is currently located. They did some bunch of research, and it's actually a little bit more towards the center of the bat. And they got a hold of an MIT guy to change their bats, and basically it's more towards the center of the bat. And then they hit 8 home runs.
Yeah, they've been
in one of their games already.
Yeah.
Was it the first game of the year? They had 8 home runs.
I think they set the record in the season, a season opening series of 3 games for how many home runs they hit.
Is there something to these torpedo bats?
It could be. Now, keep in mind, they also have an incredible lineup.
Well, that's true too.
So that's part of it. But yeah, there's a lot of people. That's the talker on Major League Baseball right now.
Are they going to make it illegal, just like the shift? Oh, this thing actually works too good. We're going to have to make this illegal. You think that's coming now?
No, because they like offense. They, I think they might say it is still. It boggles my mind though too that because it's all within the parameters of the rules that Major League Baseball has for their bats. But it always blows my mind when baseball's been around for 125 years or whatever we've been playing Major League Baseball for. That something like that, just a bat change or shifting the bat within the legal frame of it, hasn't been discovered until now.
It's interesting you brought up a lot of those Celtics guys, Red Sox guys. By the way, what's the Boston connection? Because now you said Celtics too. I didn't know you were a Celtics fan. What's the Boston connection?
I've never even been to Boston. It's still, I think, Nomar.
Okay.
And so with that Boston, then I've just kind of liked
Patriots.
No, I should have joined the Patriots. That's one thing I didn't. I picked the Cardinals for some reason and didn't go along with the Patriots. That would have been fun to grow up with. But and then the Celtics, I just Paul Pierce, Antoine Walker. It was easy to say, okay, well, that's a Boston team. I like them too.
So you went from the one franchise who has the most Super Bowls or is tied for the most to the one that doesn't have any.
That's right.
Hey, at least we know you're not a bandwagon fan. I appreciate that about
well,
you.
I balance out my Red Sox and Celtics with Nebraska basketball or Arizona Cardinals. Yeah.
Daggers are back. The daggers are back. They're so hurtful. It's just hurtful. It's interesting because, dude, I still remember that Diamondbacks team that won the World Series. Randy Johnson, Curt Schilling. I remember Curt, because you brought up him playing for the Red Sox. And I remember Manny Ramirez when I was a kid. Like, you'd play the video game, his strike zone was so much big, like his power zone was so much bigger than everybody else's in the game. Everybody else would be like here if you're really good. And then here comes Manny to the plate. And I was like, oh my God, it's like the whole entire screen. How can you not hit a homer every day? He could like bunt it over the fence. Yeah, but Curt Schilling, I really became a fan of him. And I forget who they were playing in the World Series, but the Diamondbacks, Randy Johnson, they were the two big pitchers for that team. But Schilling had like the bloody sock game, like his whole leg and lower leg and sock was bloody the entire game. I remember watching that as a kid, so I freaking love that. So we did 0 Husker Sports Roundup, this particular segment, other than Jared Cook. So we will do that, and we'll go quickly because there's press conferences going on. We got other things we want to chat about, but I always want to talk about as many Husker Sports as possible. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to do a Husker Sports Roundup. Then at the top of the hour, we'll dive into some Nebraska football. And you never know. We might start talking about blue whales at this point. Random stuff just comes up on this show, and we just run with it. Jake and I like to have fun. Don't go anywhere. You like blue whales?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know anything about them. They're huge. All right, go. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Spring is here. It's time to get back outside and into proper shoes this year. Brown's Shoe Fit is the place to buy this spring with their sale on athletic shoes. Get $15 off any regular priced athletic shoes with respected brands like Hoka, Brooks, New Balance, and On Running. And don't forget, Brown's carries a large arrangement of sizes and widths to fit your feet properly. Start your spring off right at Brown's Shoe Fit, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
We have a cloudy and windy day on tap for your Tuesday. A wind advisory will be in effect this afternoon. Wind gusts up around 40 miles an hour will be possible. We'll get up to 63 for a high temperature before some thunderstorms roll in, some of which could be strong to severe. Main threats would be for some large hail and some strong wind gusts. 64 for a high tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Aaron Downer for 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
You don't have to cross your fingers when digging into the ground this spring. Start every project with a call to Nebraska 811 so utilities like LES can mark their buried lines and you can avoid injury and power outages.
Imagine a healthier, more active, physically fit version of yourself. If you've been putting off getting into shape, now is the time with the Ferrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-Week Challenge. Our program combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching to help you achieve your fitness goals. And ticket listeners, you can get $150 off your enrollment. The next 10-week challenge begins on April 12th. You can get all the info at fxblincoln.com. Don't wait any longer. Ferrell's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill and 70th and Vine.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
This is Monster Jam. Big air, backflips, and all-out racing. Monster Jam, as big as it gets. The fun begins at the pit party, where you can meet the drivers, get autographs, take pictures, and see the trucks up close. Get your pit party pass at monsterjam.com today. Must have valid event ticket to enter pit party. Restrictions may apply. Rules and activities are subject to change. Visit website for event details. Coming to Pinnacle Bank Arena April 18th through 19th.
Love is in the air, and so are big savings. It's the Big I Do event at Sartor Heyman Jewelers, South Point Pavilions, April 4th through the 6th. For 3 days only, enjoy 20% off all engagement rings and wedding bands, plus exclusive bridal collections from our top designers. Whether you're saying yes or I do, shop now for the year's best prices and selection. April 4th through 6th, Sartor Heyman Jewelers, South Point Pavilions.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Hey, bestie. Whoa, how'd you snag that awesome set of wheels? I'm in the market for a new car, too. My friends at Members Own Credit Union. You're always in the driver's seat when it comes to your finances at Members Own. Always in the driver's seat, huh? Yep. They set you up with a loan that makes sense for your budget with great rates and top-notch customer service to boot. Looks like we're going to need to make a pit stop. Let's go. I'll drive. Hit the road to financial success and explore auto loan options with your best financial friend, Members Own Credit Union. For details, go to membersowncu.org/drive. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com.
Hi, it's Joel Norman, the voice of your Lincoln Stars hockey team. Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket to hear the latest on the Stars with myself, head coach Rocky Russo, and special player guests.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. All right, Husker Sports Roundup time. Let's light this candle. All right, Nebraska baseball, as I mentioned, is going to take on Creighton today. Excuse me, UNO later this week. We have established that one team is a rival, one team is not. Hopefully we go 2-0. Does not affect our Big Ten standings, as a fan meanly pointed out to me. But I digress. It still matters, and it's going to be fun to watch. All right, through 150 all-time meetings, Nebraska holds an 86-62-2 advantage over Creighton. All right, the Huskers and Blue Jays meet for the first time this season after Creighton won all three meetings last season. Through 78 all-time meetings, this is UNO now, Nebraska holds a dominant 64-14 advantage over the Mavericks in that all-time series. The Huskers picked up an 11-5 win over the Mavericks last season in Lincoln. All right, let's look back at Creighton just a smidge more today. Actually, I thought this was interesting. This is the longest non-conference stretch since 2015. Nebraska is in the middle of a 6-game non-conference stretch after playing Big Ten newcomers Washington, UCLA, and USC the past 3 weekends. A 6-game non-conference span is the longest break from conference action for the Huskers since the Big Red had a 7-game break from Big Ten action in 2015. The Huskers compiled a 6-1 record in the 7-game break in 2015. All right, posting wins over Cal State Fullerton, GAGMU, Creighton, and Omaha back then. Hopefully they can keep that rolling. All right, as they took it to Oregon State. Well, got the series win. Now they're going to take on Creighton and Omaha. All right, lucky number 6 in the Bolt era. Nebraska is 115-24 under head coach Will Bolt when scoring at least 6 runs. The Big Red have scored 6+ runs in 11 of the last 12 victories this season, defeating number 16 Vanderbilt 6-4, and went ahead and listed out all the other wins. I'm not going to read all of those. All right, let's see. Nebraska's bats are finally warming up after last week's 4-game span against Kansas State, number 5 Oregon State. The Husker offense saw its batting average, slugging percentage, and on-base percentage all increased by at least 16 points for the season. Against the Wildcats and Beavers, Nebraska batted .348 at the plate while scoring 9 runs per game last week. The Huskers saw a 39-point jump in slugging and a 17-point spike in the on-base percentage after slugging 7 doubles and 10 home runs against Kansas State and Oregon State. All right, let's go ahead and get those wins. All right, unfortunately for Nebraska softball, they stumbled in their series finale. All right, let's see here. Hannah comes in and blasted 2 solo home runs, but it wasn't enough as the number 20 Nebraska softball team fell to Purdue by a score of 6-2 on Monday evening. Nebraska moves to 26-9 overall, 6-2 in the Big Ten on the season, while Purdue is now 18-16, 3-7 in the Big Ten. The Boilermakers had 12 hits to Nebraska's 7. All right. Any other final thoughts here that I should share with you fine folks before we move on? All right. I do not believe so, other than Jordy Ball wins her 2nd straight weekly award. Nebraska softball pitcher Jordy Ball was named the Big Ten Pitcher of the Week for the 2nd consecutive week. And this was announced on Monday. Across 3 appearances and 14 innings pitched this past week. Ball allowed 0 earned runs and only 3 hits. Against Omaha and Purdue, compiling an ERA of 0.0. That's pretty freaking impressive. All right, bowling. Nebraska bowling team will travel this week to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, competing at the Pittsburgh Regionals in the NCAA Women's Bowling Tournament. The Huskers come off a regular season which saw the Big Red end as the #1 team in the latest National 10-Pin Coaches Association poll, otherwise known as the NTCA, ending with a 91-23 record. The Big Red finished with 3 tournament victories and 6 individuals making all tournament teams during the season. All right, Nebraska men's gymnastics. Let's see here. Over the weekend, Husker duo Taylor Christopoulos and Alex Natachi completed their first team USA assignment in Stuttgart, Germany from March 23rd through March 30th. Natachi won first place at the Mixed Cup for the United States. Christopoulos competed at the team challenge, earning second place in the all-around and grabbing silver for the United States. All right, anything before we head to break, Jake?
No, I think that wrapped it up pretty well.
When we come back, John Butler, there's some players doing a press conference. We will give reactions to that as we get intel on that throughout the hour. In the meantime, a little bit of Matt Rhule and Harper Murray and the backup quarterback battle. What in the world's going to happen there? All right, don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
Mexican food is not always easy to find, but you can find it in Lincoln at Tacos Los Hermanos. Their birria tacos are worth the drive from anywhere in town, but their chicken, chorizo, al pastor, and asada tacos are also worth the trip. You can also try any of those meats in a burrito or quesadilla. You won't find a better toppings bar in the area or better dessert options. If you can't get there, don't worry, they do deliver as well. Stop by Tacos Los Hermanos for lunch or dinner today at 70th and Havelock Streets in Lincoln.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue. It's $5.99 barbecue time. Hurry to Hog Wild for a complete barbecue meal that's only $5.99. Get a 1-meat sandwich loaded with our award-winning barbecue, plus your choice of a classic side and drink for just $5.99. Upgrade your sandwich to beef brisket for just $1 more. Join us for lunch or dinner in Lincoln at 3210 Cornhusker Highway. Order online at GoHogWild.com.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
Imagine a healthier, more active, physically fit version of yourself. If you've been putting off getting into shape, now is the time with the Ferrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-Week Challenge. Our program combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching to help you achieve your fitness goals. And ticket listeners, you can get $150 off your enrollment. The next 10-week challenge begins on April 12th. You can get all the info at fxblincoln.com. Don't wait any longer. Ferrell's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill and 70th and Vine.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
$93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
We have a cloudy and windy day on tap for your Tuesday. A wind advisory will be in effect this afternoon. Wind gusts up around 40 miles an hour will be possible. We'll get up to 63 for a high temperature before some thunderstorms roll in, some of which could be strong to severe. Main threats would be for some large hail and some strong wind gusts. 64 for a high tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Aaron Dowden for 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Tuesday, April 1st, Wolves place West Ham at 1:45 p.m. followed by Nottingham Forest versus Man United at 2 p.m. On Wednesday, April 2nd, Newcastle plays Brentford at 1:45 a.m., followed by Liverpool versus Everton at 2 p.m. Liverpool currently leads the standings with 70 points. You can find all this and more at McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket, your place for English Premier League soccer, located at 8th and P.
Hog Wild's giant stuffed baked potatoes are anything but basic and really hit the spot when you're craving a little comfort food. Nothing is more satisfying than a Hog Wild baked potato loaded with butter, sour cream, cheddar cheese, bacon bits, and chives. Add your choice of a Hog Wild house smoked meat like pulled pork, chicken, or brisket for a little extra. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Hey, bestie! Whoa, how'd you snag that awesome set of wheels? I'm in the market for a new car, too. My friends at Members Own Credit Union. You're always in the driver's seat when it comes to your finances at Members Own. Always in the driver's seat, huh? Yep. They set you up with a loan that makes sense for your budget with great rates and top-notch customer service to boot. Looks like we're going to need to make a pit stop. Let's go. I'll drive. Hit the road to financial success and explore auto loan options with your best financial friend, Members Own Credit Union. For details, go to membersowncu.org/drive. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com. Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and training staff to serve you the best they can. If you haven't already planned, now is the perfect time to figure out a maintenance plan for your yard. Tailored Landscapes is on the brink of spring cleanups for all their existing customers, and they have limited spots available. They trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mulch proper amounts. Give Tailored Landscapes a call at 402-432-2572 to set up a meeting with one of their designers and stop by the Tailored Life store in Bennett.
Get ready for spring by joining an evidence-based program to improve your health and well-being. These programs use proven strategies to help you make lasting changes, whether it's boosting nutrition, increasing activity, managing stress, or enhancing wellness. Invest in yourself today and feel your best this spring and beyond. Paid for by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker, who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome in to Hour 2, ladies and gentlemen, of the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. All right. If you haven't done so yet, if you'd like to learn more, go to CarrikerChronicles.com, the inaugural Carriker Chronicles football camp featuring Heisman Trophy winner, College Football Hall of Famer Eric Crouch, Green Bay Packers Hall of Famer, all-time leading rusher, two-time national champ Amon Green. I'll be wandering around for some reason as well. And I'm finalizing 2 other guys as well that are going to be there. So there's at least going to be 5 former Huskers, and the more the merrier in my humble opinion. All right, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., July 9th, this summer here in Lincoln. Autographs included, T-shirts included. Who's it for? K through 8th graders, boys and girls. Register, learn more, CarrikerChronicles.com. The registrations are coming in every day, so people are excited. Now I've got high school football coaches hitting me up. Hey, how do I get it to everyone in Waverly? How do I get it to everyone here? So people are excited about it. All right, we're excited about it. Going to be fun. The goal is for kids to have what I envision to be a rare opportunity to have a blast and be around some pretty cool people. That was the idea when we did something like this a couple of years ago where we used to live. And I'm like, if we ever moved to Nebraska, this could be even better. And now 2 years later, here we are. But if you want to take your game to the next level, this is the place to do it. If you want to learn the basics and fundamentals, this is the place to do it. Again, check it out at CarrikerChronicles.com. Learn more and or get registered. Jake, Matt Rhule did a TikTok with Harper Murray yesterday. Reaction.
Yeah, I don't know how many. Is he going to go have to do all these extra workworkouts now? These TikTok workouts. He seems to have changed.
He did it in the football facility,
That's
dude.
right. Yeah,
he did it. What is this? Actually, it wasn't. It's like the entrance area.
That's right. Yeah.
It's like where some of the trophies are and stuff. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. I mean,
well, it's where the greatest fans of college football walk through those doors, right?
That's right.
It was football facility to me, but I think it's all together. It's having fun. And getting more exposure to one Harper Murray and one to the Nebraska football program. It kind of helps out both ways. As I understand, she's a TikTok star.
What do you think of the crossover with volleyball and football here? That was my first reaction, was the crossover between sports. I was like, all right, I like where this is going. This is pretty cool. What do you think of the crossover aspect of it between sports?
Well, yeah, he had said too before that like the reason he found out about all the TikTok stuff and from the players' side was that Harper Murray was doing a TikTok or showing off a TikTok to his daughter. So I guess there is at least some closeness between those programs, or at least between Harper Murray and the Rhule family. So that makes some sense, but it's a good crossover for Nebraska football. You call it kind of getting the rub of a winning program.
Getting the rub, using the wrestling term. I like it. What did you think when Cook was doing all these TikToks with Harper Murray, and now Danny Busboom Kelly did one? It's been a few weeks ago now, or a couple weeks at least. She did her first TikTok with Harper Murray, and there was, I believe, another player or two in there as well. But what were your thoughts when you saw Cook doing this really around the beginning of volleyball season last year? Because when I saw it, I thought two things, because Harper's been through a lot, which shows a lot of resiliency, and it was kind of his way of connecting, I felt, with like a younger generation, younger players. If we're being honest, there's a bunch of young high school players that are going to see this, and they're going to be intrigued by a coach that's willing to do this, okay? Especially at the time we didn't know he was going to retire. An older coach, like, hey, can I really relate to this dude? Oh, this dude's on TikTok with his players. This is pretty cool. I thought all of that was great. The only hesitation I ever had, because sometimes when you do that, I got to try to phrase this right, because you, as a coach, you don't want players to see you like as directly equal because you're an authority figure, but yet you want to be relatable because you want them to know you care about them. And I was like, man, I wonder if over time this skews maybe a little bit too much towards relatable and not enough towards authority. But I never once saw that during volleyball. Never once saw it. When they lost to Penn State both times, Penn State was just better. I mean, it happens sometimes, okay? It's all right. Penn State, best team in the country this year. Kudos to them. We'll see what happens next year. But that was my only hesitation. But as it unfolded, I was like, man, I think this is great for recruiting. I think this is just fun. I think it's a way of bringing a team together, relating to younger players. But what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think, some of that thought process kind of came into my mind too. They do pranks on him and stuff like that. But it just kind of reminds you of just when, if they start losing, if they made a second round exit, that would start to be, he's messing around too much on TikTok. But that helps if you win there. And then on the Harper Murray side of it, I just think it's fantastic. Because there were a week or two where our text line was filled with some different comments of get her out of here and all this sort of stuff. And, young people are allowed to make mistakes. And so, but they could have, a coach could have given up on her and then bringing her back. You could have told her, all right, we've had some negative press, just stay out of everything, and not allowed her to kind of show off her personality and to become what she has. And so it's just awesome to see her image turn from a little bit, kind of troublesome. Like I said, young people make mistakes, into TikTok star that basically can get anybody on the University of Nebraska to have some fun doing some dances with her on there. So I think that's been an incredible transformation.
I think great point. Winning cures 99.9% of everything. If they lose, people are immediately going to come back to that. Oh, you weren't focused. You were joking. In the moment, they're going to love it. But revisionist history and hindsight 2020 is an amazing thing in this world. But hey, like I said, they just lost to a better team. That happens sometimes. They lost twice. So it wasn't like it was just one time. Like Penn State was the better team this year. Well, again, we'll see what happens next year. So that's a good point. Hey, as long as you're winning. It's kind of like I've said with Dylan. Hey, you're going to go around, you're going to do this statewide tour and all these games and public appearances and be in the middle of the limelight every freaking where. That's okay as long as you're winning. I've said it's as long as if it's part of a package that wins, I'm okay with it. Everybody's personality is different. Like look at I'm not saying Dylan's Joe Namath, but look at Joe Namath. He's as out there as you can be. The bold proclamation before Super Bowl III was crazy. And then they followed up. And he's been a legend ever since. There's a lot of people who don't even know that he played at Alabama or anything else that he did. They just know that. Some people don't even know that. They just know the name Joe Namath, but it went to another stratosphere with that. So it all comes back to, are you handling your business on the field, diamond, and or court of competition? And if you are, it doesn't mean you have to win it all. Nebraska volleyball, obviously everyone wanted them to. The expectation is next year to compete for a national title. They didn't win it all. But as long as you're handling your business and people can see that you are, it's kind of, it's going to be okay. But if you're not, that's where things get interesting. So when you hear about Dylan working hard and losing the weight and learning how to be a leader and all those things, that's very encouraging stuff. And if that's part of the package that, hey, I like to be in the limelight at times too, or whatever the case may be, hey, that's cool. Are you handling your business on the football field? And if you are, I'm not going to have any problems with it. All right. When I had teammates, I had all sorts of different teammates. Like, I never cared. Like I think I've mentioned this before. I've lived in every time zone for over a decade. East Coast was 6 years, so just over half a decade. But from Mountain Time to Central Time till I grew up on the West Coast for 14 years. And then the East Coast, been all over the place. Met all sorts of different types of people. I know what part of the country likes what kind of music, and I know this and that, and all sorts of different teammates that you could possibly, the different locker rooms that I've been in, from different sports to different levels to different regions to different everything. Okay, I've been exposed to a lot of different people. I never cared about anything except for two things. Were you busting your butt, and did you help contribute to giving us a chance to win? If you did those two things, I didn't really care. I didn't even care if you weren't that good. Were you busting your butt, and were you doing what you could to help give us a chance to win? If you were a scout team guy, were you giving us a proper look? And were you firing off and making us better? If you're supposed to be an All-American, are you producing like an All-American? It was all relative to what realistic expectations were for that individual, myself included. Nobody's harder on myself than I am on myself, but my point is that's all I ever cared about. Were you busting your butt, and were you doing what you could to help improve our chances of winning? Beyond that, I never really cared. So to me, that's how I kind of look at players nowadays. Hey, you want to do all this other stuff? You want to do this, or you don't want to do this? Okay, I played with guys who didn't want to do any of this. That's cool. I don't really care. I don't care where you're from. I don't care how tall you are. I don't care about any of that. Were you busting your butt, and were you doing what you could to help improve our chances to win? And that's all that ever mattered to me. And at the end of the day, when it comes to Harper or Dylan or whatever the case may be, at the end of the day, that's all people are really going to care about, because people have to be who they are. They have to have their personalities, whatever that may be. And I don't know. I kind of hope that makes sense. Does that make sense, Jake?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm glad you kind of put it that way, is that, everybody's going to have their different abilities. But like you said, there's expectations to fill out your role on the team. And so, we see that all the time is, can guys live up to their role on the team? It's not necessarily everybody's expected to be the superstar.
All right, man. Who's going to be the backup quarterback this year? I want to know now. I want to know, who is it, Jake? Who's it going to be?
It's a good battle, I think.
Well, that's not an answer. I want an answer. Who's it going to be?
If I had to predict, I don't know. Jalen Gramstad seems to have the lead on it.
Well, he's the backup right now.
Yeah.
Then Marcus Davia from Purdue, 4-star coming out of high school. He's got 4 years of eligibility. TJ Lateef, who was actually here in December for some of the bowl prep practices. All right, true freshman. Another 4-star guy, very talented. We got a talented quarterback room. I mean, Jalen Gramstad's like basically another coach. As we sit here, right now, you can go back to watching Jalen in his NAIA days. Played for titles, won awards, did a lot of good things, was a safety actually before he was a quarterback, which tells me two things. It tells me he can run, and depending on what type of safety he was, probably not afraid of contact. Had he played DB, the jury would still be out on that. And yes, I'm throwing a blanket over DBs. I'm just, so you got to prove yourself to me as a DB. Like as a D lineman, you probably don't think I can cover people. Okay, I got to prove that. Like as a DB, are you going to hit people or not? I got to see this, all right? But as a safety, more safeties than not are willing to come down and fill the hole and hit somebody in the mouth. So it tells me he's like another coach on the field. He can move well. He's got experience. Yes, is it a different level? I understand that. But he's got experience. Okay, he's probably not afraid of contact. And you may know this, but Dylan wanted him to come back, okay? Because Jalen thought about not coming back. So right now he's the backup quarterback. You look at Marcos, the quarterback from Purdue, Probably a little bit more physically talented, probably just like TJ Lateef. And, I mean, I don't know. My gut tells me it's probably going to be Gromstad or Marcos. Not that TJ can't win it, but you've always got the error of erring towards him using that red shirt. But in this day and age, how's a player going to feel about that? It's almost like a red shirt is a bad thing. Where to me, a red shirt back when I played was an extra bonus season. Like I was trading, if had I played as a true freshman, I was trading my worst season for what was my best season as a fifth-year senior, a guy who was literally 4.5 years older when I waited to play the additional season as a fifth-year player, as a senior with a red shirt versus playing as a true freshman and a freaking teenager. But guys don't see it that way nowadays. The world is very different. You look at Malachi Coleman. I wonder, had he played last year, would he still be here? Obviously, there's a reason he didn't play. We didn't get a whole bunch of information on that. He's up in Minnesota now. We'll see what happens there. But to me, I wonder, had he played, would he have viewed it a little bit differently? But we also don't know the details as to why he did or did not play. So we'll see how he does up in Minnesota. I'm very curious to see how that pans out. And frankly, I'm rooting for him. But what are your thoughts on this quarterback battle? And each of us has to give a prediction. Admittedly, way too early. April, I was supposed to start. I completely forgot. I was going to start today's show with this is my last day on the ticket. I forgot it was April Fool's.
Nice. Yeah.
I got all wrapped up in the Will Ferrell yelling at his kid's bit, and I related to that way too much. But we each got to make a prediction.
Well,
who's going to be the backup?
I think it's fascinating because I think how you control and use that room could be dependent on the situation, right? If Dylan Raiola, you need to spell him for a game and Jalen Gramstad, or not a game, a series, a snap or two. Jalen Gramstad's been the backup, getting those reps. Maybe you put him in. But if Dylan Raiola is out for 5 or 6 games, has a long-term injury, do you switch it up? Do you think Marcus, between Marcus Davia and TJ Lateef, is one of them, maybe have a higher upside to kind of get you through that longer stretch? So I think it's fascinating. I think it could be dependent on the situation. I'd have to go with Gramstad right now because, they're calling him grandpa and all that sort of stuff. Say it'll make an excellent coach one day. So at least you would think that he could, run through that offense pretty well. Obviously wouldn't have, again, the upside that you would have with Dylan and those other guys, but it'd be fun to see. It would be a fun story if Jalen Gramstad, not hoping for it necessarily, because obviously we want Dylan to stay healthy. But if there is some story of Jalen Gramstad having to get out there and help Nebraska winning a game, it would be an incredible story. And those other guys, you have to remember, Davia hasn't had a snap. He's the year ahead, right? And he did the redshirt year, so maybe he's in a better position than TJ Lateef. But Lateef, I think, had to come here with some understanding that he wasn't going to play right away. And so, I think he would be okay with that. But again, you also have the opportunity to play 4 games without burning that red shirt. So maybe, part of recruiting him was telling him that you could get him on the field at least. So I think there's a lot of moving parts there. I think they've done a good job to set up, a backup quarterback situation that could become very important. Again, it's football at any time during the season. But if I had to pick today, I'd go with Gramstad.
In order for Lateef to be the backup, because sometimes in a position battle, there's a clear, concise, better player. Sometimes it's tight, and it's almost a coin toss. And you could go either way. And then a coach will either err towards the younger guy because he's trying to build a program, or he'll err towards the older guy just because he has experience until the younger guy gets experience. And then there's times when a player is just ahead of the other guy. So my question to you is, if TJ Lateef is just bare, because the tiebreaker to me is the potential red shirt. Okay. If he's tied with Gramstad and tied with Davia, so to speak, the tiebreaker is the red shirt. Okay. He can always red shirt, depending on how he feels about that. But let's say he's just ahead of Gramstad and just ahead of Davia. Do you put him at number 2, knowing that red shirt's right there?
I would, especially because in the modern era, because you might be redshirting him for Bowling Green or Kansas or whoever down the line, and so that. But then the other thing is just how important this year is. If he's just a little bit better and you're losing by 3, maybe just a little bit better is the difference between a win and a loss. And a few wins and losses this year, it really is going to set up the amount of pressure going into year 4.
I agree with that. Either way, Jalen's going to be done after this year as a senior. I think you got to play the better guy. The other thing you got to do is you can play him in 4 games, keep the red shirt. But also, if he's going to be the backup, he needs experience throughout the year. You can't just say, hey, we're going to get you 4 games right out the gate. Then comes Iowa. He hasn't seen the field in 2 months. Dylan gets knocked out at halftime, and bam, here comes this kid who has played a little bit in 4 games because you had the red shirt that you could save. You could be the backup, but he hasn't played in 2 months. And so I think you have to go with clearly the better player. I think I brought this, or whoever the better player is, I think I brought this up last time we debated this, 3 or 4 weeks ago. To this day, I brought up Zach Potter blocking the PAT, or the 2 straight field goals, burning a red shirt for that, and then it turned out that's why we beat Pittsburgh. And then Harrison Beck, that game versus Kansas State, I couldn't believe we brought him in. First of all, I didn't think he was the number 2 best quarterback. I didn't trust him any farther than I could throw him. I might be able to throw him a fair piece, but you get my point. It's just like...
He's getting bigger now. He might be tough to throw.
Oh, maybe. Okay. That's a topic for another day. Throw God. Throw God. You remember Throw God?
That's right.
Oh, boy. Go Google that or YouTube that, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you've not had a big meal beforehand, though. I'm just saying. But I was like, man, we're burning a red shirt. I'm not even... I think he was ahead of Gans. Was he ahead of Gans that year? Because I thought Gans was better. I could be wrong. I might be getting my years mixed up. And I was just like, oh, man. And then he came in and we won. So Bill Callahan was 2 for 2 on burning red shirts with true freshmen and us. We beat Kansas State. We beat Pittsburgh with Harrison Beck coming in and Zach Potter blocking 2 straight field goals. So what the heck do I know?
Yeah.
Bill Callahan should be sitting in my seat right now. You think people would listen to what he has to say?
Oh, a Bill Callahan radio program in Lincoln would just, I think that would do good numbers. Yeah.
I think it would do good for about a week. All right. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
We have a cloudy and windy day on tap for your Tuesday. A wind advisory will be in effect this afternoon. Wind gusts up around 40 miles an hour will be possible. We'll get up to 63 for a high temperature before some thunderstorms roll in, some of which could be strong to severe. Main threats would be for some large hail and some strong wind gusts. 64 for a high tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Aaron Downer for 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
It's the 2-fingered wave on a gravel road. It's letting the kids take dad's truck to prom. It's Friday nights under the lights of a hometown football field. Eustace Body Shop knows small towns. It's where our values are rooted. We treat our people right, and in turn, they treat you, our customer, right. And we give back to our communities. Not much more small town than that. Eustace Body Shop, small town service, big city technology.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
Imagine a healthier, more active, physically fit version of yourself. If you've been putting off getting into shape, now is the time with the Ferrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-Week Challenge. Our program combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching to help you achieve your fitness goals. And ticket listeners, you can get $150 off your enrollment. The next 10-week challenge begins on April 12th. You can get all the info at fxblincoln.com. Don't wait any longer. Ferrell's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill and 70th and Vine.
Muchachos has been serving Lincoln delicious pork, brisket, and chicken tacos for several years now, as well as Hatch Mac nachos and more. Muchachos also brings you close to the taste buds of your favorite local college athletes with NIL deals like the B3 burrito for Bella Bacon of Nebraska softball and many more. See a variety of different NIL options at Muchachos at 11th and K or order online at yomuchacho.com. Open 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday.
Your new Total Wine in Lincoln has the largest selection of wines, spirits, and beers, plus totally low prices and friendly service from our helpful guides. With over 8,000 wines, 4,500 spirits, and 2,500 beers, you're sure to find your favorites and something new. You can even order delivery, in-store, or curbside pickup. Find what you love what you find, only at Total Wine and More. Now open in Lincoln next to Gateway Mall.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Hey, what are you talking about over there? Huh? I said, what are you talking about?
You know, Bill, I think it's time for both of us to get our hearing checked. We should head over to Christensen Hearing Analytics.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about them. They offer a free hearing consultation and screening, affordable hearing aid prices, and a knowledgeable staff with over 30 years of experience.
Visit Christensen Hearing Analytics today in Williamsburg Village or give them a call at 402-489-3450. Christensen Hearing Analytics. A better life starts with better hearing.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Tuesday, April 1st, Wolves place West Ham at 1:45 p.m., followed by Nottingham Forest versus Man United at 2 p.m. On Wednesday, April 2nd, Newcastle plays Brentford at 1:45 a.m., followed by Liverpool versus Everton at 2 p.m. Liverpool currently leads the standings with 70 points. You can find all this and more at McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket, your place for English Premier League soccer, located at 8th and P.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Make sure you check out The Ticket. It's every frickin' where. Theticketfm.com, YouTube, podcast platform, social media, and the website. Again, theticketfm.com. I can't believe you were going to let me get away with that, Jake.
What's that?
I backed you into a corner, made you give your number 2 quarterback prediction, and I could have gone on this segment and you would have never realized that I didn't do the same. I totally avoided it. All right. So Jalen Gromstad's the current number 2. I just think with TJ Lateef, honestly, I think he's our next quarterback down the road, unless, I mean, with the way it is, Marcos or TJ could transfer at some point, depending on who's the 2 or 3 quarterback this year and who is not the 2 or 3 quarterback, because somebody's got to be the 4th string guy, and they might look down the road and be like, I don't like that, because that's just the way college football is at the moment, unfortunately. For me, it probably comes down to Davia and Gromstad, although I do think TJ has a bright future. Something tells me that as we sit here on April Fool's Day, way too early into spring ball, week 2 of spring practice, that I have no idea what's going to happen. But I made Jake give a prediction. He said Jalen Gromstad. Okay. Like something kind of in my gut tells me that I have no idea. But I'm going to force myself to give a prediction. Oh, man, I don't know. It's hard. I'm just going to go with Davia, Marcos Davia. And that's not a slight to TJ. That's not a slight to Jalen. Don't really know. Okay. And we're not going to learn a whole lot this spring, especially, you can only, I guess, as former players, we can go to practices, but as the media doesn't get to go a ton, there's not really going to be a spring. There's not going to be a spring game at all. I'm going to go with Marcos, but man, I do look at TJ and I'm like, I think I like what he can do running. I like what he can do throwing. I like a lot of things about his game. Like, I do think he could potentially be our next quarterback of the future, depending. You always got to keep the transfer portal in the back of your mind. All right, any quick final thoughts there before we move on to a little bit of a press conference reaction here?
No, I mean, I think it's just interesting, though, because I think sometimes we go, we do get to you can't get anything out of the spring game. But that would have been fun this year, is to see who would have looked better at the spring game, because it seems to make it a difference, or, at least sometimes you can see a little bit. I think Harburg looked a little bit better in last year's spring game, and then that kind of translated to the field as well. So we'll have to wait and see. I wish we would see that battle, but maybe it's better, I suppose, for Nebraska program as a whole, that nobody knows.
We forgot something, and I forgot it because I put it at the end of my notes, because he's not in the quarterback battle. I'm not going to advocate for it as much as I did last year, and I thought that it was crazy we didn't do more of this, but you got a weapon there. Why would you not just have a little bit of a package for Heinrich Harburg and his legs and the read option and just another wrinkle that defenses have to deal with? Like last year, I didn't know why we didn't. I didn't know why. Like, Dylan was learning, growing. There was ups and downs. Everything I predicted that there would be with a teenage true freshman quarterback. Why Harburg wasn't doing more with more packages last year was beyond me. This year, I'm not going to advocate for it as much because my expectation of Dylan is more. What's around him appears to be Lamborghinis and Ferraris, we're told. We'll see what actually happens. It comes to fruition. But you still got to have something for Heinrich. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to take a lot of time in practice. Like, literally, if you just have a package of 5 plays, you could even just go no huddle and do them super, super fast. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it in practice. But defense, I'm telling you right now, you make a defense prepare for the option, a read option, play action pass, things of that nature. And then you just move them to different spots on the field with just a couple of trick plays. It doesn't have to be anything that takes a ton of your time. Defenses, for every minute you spend on it, defenses will spend 3. They will spend 3 times the amount of time preparing, because defensive coordinators freak out about stuff like this. Defensive coordinators freak out about unique packages. The only other thing they freak out about, quarterbacks that can run, just in general. Every time we ever played a mobile quarterback, it was like D coordinators just freak. That's just a general. That's not particular to Harburg or Dylan or anybody. Just as a general rule, D coordinators freak out. Anytime we played Michael Vick or we played a quarterback in college that could run, my gosh, with Vince Young, I thought our D coordinator's head was going to explode. So for me, anybody who can just present a little bit of an issue with their feet, as a general rule, D coordinators kind of freak out. All right, some of the press conference reaction here. John Butler, he said he was glad that Javen Wright came back. I was chatting with T. Farley during the break. Like, people kind of expect Marquez Watson Trent to start. Again, you got to earn these jobs, okay? Vincent Shavers to start. 3-3-5, so to speak. We're multiple defense. Who do you expect to be that third starting linebacker? Is it Javin Wright? Is it Willis McGahee Jr.? Do they have Dawson McCullough listed as a jack? Like, where are we at with all this, Jake?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Dawson McCullough maybe will be kind of the jack linebacker. At least that's the plan going there. Right? I mean, they want him rushing the ball. So it's interesting. I think, with Javin Wright, all his experience, hopefully a full go at health. And I mean, he's been very productive when he's healthy in there. So, I do expect him to man one of those spots. And then you said, like you said, Marquise Watson Trent, tackling machine. You hope that translates to this level. There's nothing that would make me think that it doesn't. So, I mean, that's kind of what I'm looking at there at the linebacker, but it's good to have a battle. It's good to have names in there. Obviously under Tony Butler, they rotated quite a bit on the defensive side. I'm interested to see if that continues under John Butler. Said Tony. I think I said Tony Butler.
Yeah,
put
you're
the
good.
names together. But in any case, It's good. It's good to have depth there. It's good to question who will be the starter.
All right, let's go on to the next thing. Oh, real quick. Alea Guyton became the first member of the Iowa women's basketball team to enter the transfer portal. The freshman appeared in 29 games for the Hawkeyes. Come on over the good side. I'm just saying. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Nebraska defensive coordinator. All right, Mr. John Butler. I mean, this is not unique to Coach Butler at all, but likes to chart and keep track of guys who finish moments, finish plays, make plays. And I quote, the more plays you make, the more you move up the depth chart, end quote. I like that, but I don't know. I feel like that doesn't even have to be said out loud. Like the more plays you make, the more play time you're going to get, the more you're going to move up the depth chart. But I think the emphasis was finishing plays. I'm telling you right now in film, defensive coaches will freeze frame at the end and they'll want to see 11 hats to the ball. And if you're not one of the 11, they're going to note that. Or if there's 10 hats and you're the one not out, or if there's 6 hats and there's 5 out, you got problems. They want to know how many hats are to the ball. Finishing plays, finishing moments. Do you go the first half of the play and then kind of go on cruise control? Do you go on cruise control and then when you get close to the quarterback, all of a sudden accelerate? I think that's really what he's talking about here. All right, John Butler on what makes good third down defense. And I quote, you've got to affect the quarterback with pressures and coverages, end quote. I mean, that's perfectly said. And if you think back to one of Matt Rhule's press conferences in December, he specifically talked about they want to do different things in coverages. They want to do different things in third down coverages and red zone coverages. All right, more NFL type things. And I connected it at the time. I've talked about everybody was not always on the same page in the defensive staff room last year. Okay, got some new faces in there, got some faces coming back that are probably going to be more on the same page, simpatico, than they were a year ago. But it all kind of stemmed to the coverages. They want to affect the quarterback with different style of coverages. When I chatted with Prince Mukamara about a month ago, he goes, well, in the red zone, they're probably going to do a lot more matched zone coverages, things like that. In third down situations, it's going to be a lot more disguise type things, not showing the quarterback the coverage or getting in position to actually run the defense till there's 8 seconds or left on the clock. That's something we always did with Peyton Manning. We just stand there because he comes to the line and basically calls to the play and he stares at you. So we would just stare back. And then with 8 seconds left on the clock, our D coordinator was like, now get in the defense. It's a lot of standing and staring in between plays. And then then he'd still slice and dice people like a freaking surgeon. It was really annoying. I was like, Coach, should we wait till like 7 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second? He's like, no, you need to be in the right position. He said a few choice words about Peyton, which were complimentary, but not in the moment. Basically, that guy's really freaking good. But you got to get in the right spot. But you want to disguise things into the last moment. In general, as a general rule, non-Peyton Manning related, especially on third downs and in the red zone. All right. Oh, pressuring the quarterback. This goes without saying. If you can get to the quarterback without having to blitz, it's huge. That's why Dawson McCullough is here, and they want him getting after the quarterback. That's why you got a guy like Williams and Worry here. Being able to get after the quarterback without leaving yourself exposed on the back end because you don't have to blitz as much is huge. Now, in a multiple defense or a 3-3-5 defense, a big part of the defensive design is to have multiple blitzes and to confuse people and to come from all sorts of different angles and to get downhill from depth. Okay, you got smaller bodies. How do they not get ran over? They got to get downhill. They got to do it fast. They got to be physical, and you're blitzing all over the place and creating confusion for the offense. That's something they're inherently going to want to try to do as well. Javin Wright calls himself, and I quote, a bridge between two worlds, end quote. The old guys who used to play here and the young players who know nothing but the NIL and transfer portal. He's a 7th-year player. Seems like he's going to take on a little bit of a leadership role this season. Knows the game and his purpose in it. You see him as a bridge guy between two worlds? That's how he sees himself, because I can kind of get that. He's been around for a while, 7th year. There's a lot of guys who don't know in college football anything but transfer portal and NIL. But he's been around long enough that there was a world before that, if you recall. How do you view Javin Wright this year?
I'm excited to see the potential that he has. I mean, they talked about him and Deshaun Singleton coming back as being kind of like free agency guys in the NFL and going out and being able to recruit him back is, I think when healthy, he's been, a couple years ago, bordering on the line of playmaker, right? Had some interceptions, some fumbles for us. And then last year, I think led him in the bowl game when he was there for tackles. I mean, he's a solid player. And you know, it kind of goes back to what you're kind of saying. I know he's in his 7th year, so it kind of he's even extra is, you know, you watch some of those guys that Matt O'Hanlon always struck me as a guy that was like, man, by the time his senior came around, he's a good player. If he had another year of him, that'd be incredible. And that's kind of what you get with Deshaun Singleton and Buddha here, is that they both have, you know, they're both developed into some pretty good players. They should even be better now that they're full-grown men, you know, sometimes playing out there against some of the younger guys.
All right, final thought before we head to break. Is there anything from the text line we should get back? We should address when we get back from break?
Bill and Bennett just says Gramstead will be number 2 quarterback this year.
All right, if you've got anything you'd like us to discuss, hit us up during the break. All right, what is that number, Jake?
402-464-5685.
All right, Nebraska DC John Butler likens the return this year of linebacker Javin Wright and safety Deshaun Singleton to, and I quote, free agency in pro football, end quote. All right, don't go anywhere. We shall return.
Hog Wild's giant sub baked potatoes are anything but basic and really hit the spot when you're craving a little comfort food. Nothing is more satisfying than a Hog Wild baked potato loaded with butter, sour cream, cheddar cheese, bacon bits, and chives. Add your choice of a Hog Wild house smoked meat like pulled pork, chicken, or brisket for a little extra. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Authentic Mexican food is not always easy to find, but you can find it in Lincoln at Tacos Los Hermanos. Their birria tacos are worth the drive from anywhere in town, but their chicken, chorizo, al pastor, and asada tacos are also worth the trip. You can also try any of those meats in a burrito or quesadilla. You won't find a better toppings bar in the area or better dessert options. If you can't get there, don't worry, they do deliver as well. Stop by Tacos Los Hermanos for lunch or dinner today at 70th and Havelock Streets in Lincoln.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Now's the perfect time to get even stronger at Planet Fitness. Save $28 or more when you join today for just $1 down, $15 a month. Mix up your routine or create a customized workout plan with free fitness training. That's right. Certified trainers, unlimited sessions with best-in-class equipment. Plus, there's over 2,700 convenient locations to choose from, with most open 24 hours. Save $28 or more today when you join Planet Fitness for just $1 down, $15 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends April 11th. See Home Club for details.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
Love is in the air, and so are big savings. It's the Big I Do event at Sartor Heyman Jewelers, South Point Pavilions, April 4th through the 6th. For 3 days only, enjoy 20% off all engagement rings and wedding bands, plus exclusive bridal collections from our top designers. Whether you're saying yes or I do, shop now for the year's best prices and selection. April 4th through 6th, Sartor Heyman Jewelers, South Point Pavilions.
Get ready for spring by joining an evidence-based program to improve your health and well-being. These programs use proven strategies to help you make lasting changes, whether it's boosting nutrition, increasing activity, managing stress, or enhancing wellness. Invest in yourself today and feel your best this spring and beyond. Paid for by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Fleet Feet Lincoln is excited for the upcoming spring season and the warmer temps, and they want you to get outside and be active. Fleet Feet's Fit ID process takes a free 3D image of your feet to help runners and walkers alike find comfortable tennis shoes and inserts that ease pain associated with plantar fasciitis, bunions, and more. Get back on your feet this spring with a trip to Fleet Feet, open 7 days a week at 77th and Pioneers.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between, we'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
Imagine a healthier, more active, physically fit version of yourself. If you've been putting off getting into shape, now is the time with the Ferrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-Week Challenge. Our program combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching to help you achieve your fitness goals. And ticket listeners, you can get $150 off your enrollment. The next 10-week challenge begins on April 12th. You can get all the info at fxblincoln.com. Don't wait any longer. Ferrell's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill and 70th and Vine.
Nebraska Veterans Aid is here for veterans and dependents facing unforeseen financial emergencies. Get assistance with food, fuel, shelter, clothing, transportation, and even funeral and medical expenses. If you're a veteran facing a financial emergency, apply for Nebraska Veterans Aid through your county veteran service officer. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/NVA. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
It's the two-fingered wave on a gravel road. It's letting the kids take dad's truck to prom. It's Friday nights under the lights of a hometown football field. Eustace Body Shop knows small towns. It's where our values are rooted. We treat our people right, and in turn, they treat you, our customer, right. And we give back to our communities. Not much more small town than that. Eustace Body Shop, small town service, big city technology.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? Do you need a lawyer you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion? The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Contact us for a free consultation by calling 877-42-LIBERTY. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Liberty Law Group, trial attorneys you can trust.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show. All right. Terrell Farley is threatening to beat me up if I don't wrap this segment up soon, so we got to go fast. All right. Any news we should chat about real quick? What do you got, Jake?
I think there is something kind of interesting in the WNBA circles, is that Olivia Miles of Notre Dame will forego the WNBA draft. She was projected to be the number 2 pick, but she has decided instead to enter the transfer portal. So it lets you a little bit know, too, as well, about the modern NIL world affecting sports. I mean, we've talked about with Carson Beck, certain guys, there's ranges to where you might get more out of the transfer portal. Certainly could see women's basketball in college. We always talk about building the WNBA, but the college product might be, at least with this indicating it might be a little bit more enticing.
Is Paige Beckers, the UConn guard, is she projected to go number 1?
I'd have to double check.
I know she's
pretty
stud.
high, I would assume, yeah.
Yeah, Gino Arimano was he was in tears because he's got such an attachment to her and she's such a rare player. He basically called her one of the 2 or 3 best players he's ever coached, which is saying something, being a UConn head coach and being as good as he is. It's interesting. I mean, you brought up Carson Beck, Deshaun Singleton. He was a guy who was training for the NFL draft, came back. John Butler literally today called it free agency for pro football here in college. That's what he said today. Deshaun Singleton was going to the draft, came back. Carson Beck was going to the draft and then got $4 million to go down to Miami. And now his biggest life problem is he's got his Lamborghinis and Ferraris being stolen at least a couple months ago. Hopefully ours are in our wide receiver room. My point is simply this. The NIL is not all bad because it can actually help keep players in college sports longer, which is what I personally prefer, especially when it comes to college football. I think it would help the NBA and college basketball if players stayed in college basketball longer as well. We can chat about that more at a later date. But the WNBA is a league that I want to root for. I want to watch. The Caitlin Clark thing is so intriguing and interesting to me. And we haven't talked about it at all this offseason. I talked about it a ton last offseason. It's always been very intriguing to me because she is the most popular basketball player on the face of the earth. At least she was. I don't know if she still is. She was this time a year ago. We'll see what happens as the next WNBA season unfolds. But they have a chance to make the WNBA. This is going to sound crazy because the NBA is going the wrong way unless they change things. The WNBA has a chance. Right now, it's not the most popular league. Never turned a profit, et cetera, et cetera. But they have the opportunity to become much more popular, if not possibly more popular down the road in the NBA if the NBA doesn't fix a few things and they handle things the right way. So that's always been interesting to me. But as far as her going to the transfer portal and not going to the draft as a projected number 2 overall pick, that is intriguing because we're starting to see more and more players across all college sports do that. And when I say NIL is not all bad, the lack of parameters, the lack of anything realistic that can be sustainable long-term, that's the problem with NIL. NIL itself, at its core, at its heart, is a great thing. And it can help make college sports more popular. I don't know about more popular than pro sports as a whole, but it can close the gap at least a little bit because you can keep better players in college longer. Deshaun Singleton, Carson Beck. What's her name again? Remind me.
Olivia Miles.
Oh, I know that. Yeah. Like for me, it's the insanity that surrounds NIL on the transfer portal that is bad. If we can rein in some of those things, which I do think there's hope for in the future. I've talked about that in the past on the show. I genuinely think there's hope for reining in things and having a much more long-term sustainable model in college sports. Hopefully, the question is it sooner or is it later? That's the question, because the powers that be, there's some people out there who really thrive off the chaos of college sports. Not a lot, but there are some. To me, if we can rein it in sooner rather than later, I think there'd be a big boom, especially in college football and college sports as a whole. Final thoughts before we get out, Jake?
Yeah, it is fascinating. And I do think college basketball, we're seeing more of these kind of names stick around. It was April Fool's, so I saw Hunter Dickinson was given a 7th year, and I believed it for a second. But, some of these guys are sticking around and maybe making more money off of what they mean to college basketball as opposed to low ceiling type of guy in the NBA. Maybe we'll get a shot, but isn't going to, and so, college basketball long, I go back to those late 90s, early 2000s teams. I always think those teams were really good because people stayed in college basketball back then, and the product was just better. So again, it's kind of different because all these moves are being made for football, realignment, all that sort of stuff. All this is based on football, but it actually might be helping college basketball a little bit.
So what if, with all these unique eligibility rules, and now the players are getting paid? Have you even thought of this? What if a guy went pro, let's say basketball, okay, goes pro in basketball, plays 1 year, one and done. So he's got technically 3 years of eligibility left in college sports, or 94 the way things are going. I don't know. The college eligibility rules are just getting crazier, but they're finding ways to keep kids in college longer is basically what they're doing with the new JUCO rules. And hey, if you play 1AA or D2, you could play for 4 years, but you come to D1, you've got 0 years of D1 eligibility that you've used and 4 left. Again, that's good for college sports, depending on how you want to look at it. I like it because it keeps the better players in college sports longer. What if a guy, one and done, college basketball, goes and plays 2 years in the NBA, is like, I'm going to go back to college? Can that happen legally now? It couldn't before. Can it now?
I don't know.
With players getting paid, he's got eligibility. Is that something that could happen?
Maybe. I don't think as of now, but I was surprised by the JUCO ruling, so maybe they'll come to a conclusion on that too.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Could you see that as something that they could change the rule? Like, hey, this guy used to play for Oregon State, Washington State, the Knicks, the Celtics. Now he's back at Nebraska. How crazy would that be? All right, don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. The captain right after this break, and I will see you fine folks on Thursday. Go Big Red Nose. Remember to throw the bones.
McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Tuesday, April 1st, Wolves place West Ham at 1:45 p.m., followed by Nottingham Forest versus Man United at 2 p.m. On Wednesday, April 2nd, Newcastle plays Brentford at 1:45 a.m., followed by Liverpool versus Everton at 2 p.m. Liverpool currently leads the standings with 70 points. You can find all this and more at McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket, your place for English Premier League soccer, located at 8th and P.
This is Lincoln's home for